Breaking news. Lukashenko warns Poland that he is struggling to prevent the invasion of Wagner forces. Analysts have warned that the Kremlin may be planning a false flag attack to justify an assault on Poland. Alexander Lukashenko remarked that Belarus struggles to prevent the Wagner Group from assaulting Poland. The claim was made during a meeting between the leader of Belarus and his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, in St. Petersburg. "The Wagnerites are beginning to stretch us," said Lukashenko. "Why do you need to travel to the west? They wish to go on an excursion to Warsaw and Rzeszów." The Belarusian leader also allegedly presented Putin with a map depicting Poland's strategy to attack Belarus. Putin warned recently that an assault on Belarus would be an attack on Russia. Lukashenko remarked, "As we can see, the ground is being prepared." Lukashenko stated that Wagner personnel, who launched joint exercises with the Belarusian military on Thursday nearly a month after their brief rebellion against Moscow, desired to relocate to the west, but Belarus would not permit it. He said, "I am keeping them in central Belarus, like we agreed. We are in command of the situation." Some analysts have cautioned that the Kremlin may be planning a false flag attack to justify an assault on Poland. On the frontier with Poland, Wagner mercenaries have been instructing Belarusian special forces. Putin stated that discussions would also occur on Monday, July 24, and asserted that Kiev's counteroffensive had failed. On the same day that Putin and Lukashenko met in St. Petersburg, Russia attacked the Ukrainian city of Odessa on the Black Sea, continuing a barrage of attacks that have harmed vital port infrastructure in southern Ukraine. Officials reported at least 1 fatality and 22 injuries in the early morning attack. 4 children were among those injured by the explosions, which gravely damaged 25 city landmarks, including the historic Transfiguration Cathedral. Putin, in desperation, teaches Russian miners how to operate lethal weaponry. The British Ministry of Defense has stated that all Russian pupils will be taught how to operate drones. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, students will be taught how to operate combat drones and thwart adversary attacks by unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs. The Ministry of Defense cited Russian politician Artem Shakin as saying that terrain reconnaissance will also be taught to children. In its most recent intelligence briefing posted online on Monday, the Department of Defense stated, "All Russian schoolchildren will be taught the fundamentals of operating combat drones." Senator Artem Shakin of Russia announced that the curriculum will include instruction on conducting terrain reconnaissance and countering hostile unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs. In the conflict with Russia, both Russia and Ukraine have employed military and commercial drones, including Iranian-made Shahed 136 and Russian-made Orlan 10 UAVs with ranges of up to 1,500 miles and 68 miles, respectively. The United States has provided Ukraine with Switchblade drones, Matrice 300 RTKs, and Bayraktar TB2s with respective ranges of 6 miles, 9 miles, and 186 miles. Both parties have utilized Mavic 3 drones with a maximum speed of 43 miles per hour. Drones have become crucial components of the conflict, with Ukrainian forces employing them to strike targets in Russian-annexed Crimea in the border region of Belgorod. Damaged structures were the result of a drone attack on Moscow on Monday, just hours after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky vowed retribution for an alleged Russian bombardment of a cathedral in southern Ukraine that killed 1 person. Drones have become crucial components of the conflict, with Ukrainian forces employing them to strike targets in Russian-annexed Crimea in the border region of Belgorod. Damaged structures were the result of a drone attack on Moscow on Monday, just hours after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky vowed retribution for an alleged Russian bombardment of a cathedral in southern Ukraine that killed 1 person. The Ministry of Defense stated in its Monday briefing that UAV training will be incorporated into the existing assault rifle training, hand grenade skills, and combat first aid in the basics of life safety curriculum for Year 10 and 11 students beginning in September. It added, Russia's renewed emphasis on military induction for children is largely an effort to cultivate a culture of militarized patriotism as opposed to developing genuine capability. However, the inclusion of UAV capabilities demonstrates that Russia has identified the use of tactical UAVs in Ukraine as a permanent aspect of modern warfare. Ukraine describes key battles in counteroffensive. A senior defense official has stated that Ukrainian forces are continuing their counteroffensive operations at multiple locations along the front line in the south and east of the country, and are engaged in several key battles around the devastated city of Bakhmut. Hanna Maliar, Ukraine's deputy defense minister, told the Ukrainian military media center on Monday that since the beginning of the counteroffensive in early June, Kyiv's forces have liberated nearly 200 square kilometers of territory on the southern front near the city of Zaporizhia. This encompasses approximately 10 square kilometers that were liberated in the past week, Maliar added. Ukrainian officials, commanders, and President Volodymyr Zelensky have urged Kyiv's western allies to be patient as their forces pursue the long-awaited counteroffensive, in which thousands of Ukrainians trained by NATO and armed with heavy NATO weapons are engaged. Ukrainian troops continue offensive operations on multiple front areas toward Melitopol and Berdyansk, Maliar reported, referring to the southern front where Ukrainian forces hope to sever the Russian-occupied land corridor stretching from the Dnieper River to Russia's western border. Elsewhere, Ukrainian forces are advancing around the outskirts of Bakhmut, the eastern Donetsk city that was devastated and occupied during Russia's brutal winter offensive. Since the Ukrainian operation began in early June, Kyiv's forces have liberated approximately 13 square miles of occupied territory in the region, Maliar said, of which approximately 1.5 square miles were liberated in the past week. Key battles continue in the areas of Klishchivka, Andriivka, and Kurdyamivka, Maliar said, referring to 3 hotspots of combat in the Bakhmut region, where Ukrainian troops have been attempting to outmaneuver the Russian forces by attacking the city's northern and southern flanks. The Ukrainian advance has been comparatively sluggish, as assaulting units confront multiple lines of heavily mined Russian defenses. It is believed that casualties on both parties are substantial, but neither Kyiv nor Moscow has released official figures. Zelensky has defended the incremental nature of the counteroffensive, stating that he will not needlessly endanger the lives of soldiers. The president told CNN over the weekend that the delay in the operation was due to a paucity of weapons and munitions. He stated that Kiev's forces still lack sufficient provisions. We did have plans to start it in spring, Zelensky said. However, we did not because, candidly, we lacked sufficient munitions, arms, and adequately trained brigades in these weapons, and the training missions were conducted outside Ukraine. Nevertheless, we began. And this is essential. Because we began it a little bit later, it can be said, and it will be a widely acknowledged fact, that Russia had time to exploit all of our lands and construct multiple lines of defense. Undeniably, they had even more time than was necessary. Due to this, they constructed more of these lines. They actually had a large number of explosives in our crops. As a result, the pace of our counteroffensive actions slowed, Zelensky explained. We didn't want to lose our employees, our personnel, and our soldiers did not want to lose equipment as a result. Yes, I am aware that it is always preferable for victory to occur sooner. This is also what we desire. The question is, however, the cost of this victory. Therefore, let us not literally cast persons under tanks. Plan our counteroffensive as suggested by our analysts and intelligence. Moreover, some of our residential areas have already been liberated. Therefore, I have faith in our triumph.